Fairmont Crest, a world wrapped in wealth and prestige, no one imagined that behind those iron gates hid a universe built on lies. When Eva discovered her true identity and uncovered the dark conspiracy between Leslie and Carlton, everything she believed in collapsed overnight. That truth didn't just destroy her trust, it ignited a fire of anger, pain, and vengeance deep within her. While Leslie and Carlton scrambled to erase every trace of their betrayal, Eva vanished, leaving behind a trail of suspicion that plunged Fairmont Crest into obsession. Who is really pulling the strings in this game of power? Who will pay the ultimate price when the secrets finally come to light? And will Eva return, to end it all? After discovering her true identity, Eva drifted into a nightmare where she could no longer distinguish between reality and lies. The name she had carried all her life turned out to be just a veil for an elaborate plan set up by Leslie and Carlton to manipulate everything from love to power. In the moment the final pieces of the puzzle fit together, she felt as if the entire space around her collapsed. The villa she once thought was her home became a gilded cage, and the people she once called family were just guards. The truth revealed made Eva feel stripped of her identity, stripped of her memories, as if every breath she took was pre-programmed by an invisible hand. She wanted to scream, wanted to destroy everything, but inside she was left with emptiness and anger that smoldered like red coals buried in ashes. Leslie, who had played the role of protector, now revealed herself as a master manipulator. She not only manipulated Eva with words, but also skillfully turned her into a tool to maintain her position in the upper class of Fairmont Crest. Leslie's every action, every look was carefully calculated, as if she had seen every move before others could think. But behind that calm appearance was fear that the empire of lies she had built for years would fall apart just because a young woman dared to stand up. She knew Eva was an uncontrollable threat, and what was even more frightening was that Eva had in her hands not only the truth, but also the rage fueled by betrayal. Carlton, the person Eva had once trusted as her only support, was the key link in the entire conspiracy. He had pretended to sympathize, pretended to protect her from those who wanted to take advantage of her, but all of it was just to hide the fact that he was the one who helped Leslie carry out the plan. There was a strange feeling between them, not quite love, not simply exploitation, but a kind of sick dependence. Carlton was haunted by the power Leslie promised, and Eva was just a token of that loyalty. Yet, on a deeper level, he was haunted by Eva's eyes that reflected the pain and contempt that made him restless. It was this conflicting emotion that made him the weakest, because those who knew they were wrong and continued were always the ones most likely to collapse. Fairmont Crest, which once shone as a symbol of power and fame, had now become the stage for a secret war. Every corner of the hallway, every mirror in the mansion seemed to be watching, recording every step of those who were about to betray each other. Leslie and Carlton were frantically erasing their traces, trying to silence those who knew. They eliminated old associates, reorganized files, and even staged an accident to erase the one who had served them most loyally. Everything was silent, but the atmosphere was more oppressive, as if the entire Fairmont Crest was holding its breath waiting for the storm to come. Eva, after many sleepless nights, began to see things more clearly. She realized that the truth lay not only in the hands of Leslie and Carlton, but also in her own buried past. There was something about her origins, about her birth mother, about the falsified documents, all leading to the same point. Leslie had been the one who had the power to decide her life since before she was born. The deeper Eva dug, the more she found herself caught between two forces. One was the darkness of the past, the other was the trap of the present. She stood at that crossroads, not knowing whether to fight or run, because both paths led to loss. Meanwhile, Leslie realized that she was losing control. Rumors spread quickly, and the suspicious eyes in the high-class club made her uneasy. Carlton began to waver, sometimes even looking at Eva with a strange look, as if he wanted to make amends but did not dare. Leslie understood clearly that power cannot be shared. Once someone was weak, the whole system would collapse. Therefore, she chose to act first. A plan was drawn up, no longer to protect her reputation, but to completely eliminate the threat called Eva. That night, when the rain lasted all evening, Eva returned to her old room. She saw the photos on the wall, the certificates, all of them were lies. She burned them one by one, the flames reflecting in her eyes like a declaration of rebirth. But in that moment, she also understood that she had no way back. If Leslie could build her life, she could also destroy it to start over. Anger became motivation, pain became a weapon. Carlton, when he heard that Leslie was planning to strike, felt his chest tighten. He knew Leslie never failed in any plan, but this time he was afraid. Not afraid of Leslie, but afraid of himself, afraid that he would let an innocent person be wiped out because of blind loyalty. But no matter how he tried to convince her, Leslie was beyond reason. She no longer saw people, only pieces on a political chessboard. As Leslie's plan was put into action, Eva disappeared. No one knew where she went. Leslie publicly announced that Eva had left town for treatment. But in the shadows, small clues began to appear: a drained bank account, an unsent letter, a ring that appeared in the lake next to the mansion. Some said Eva was still alive, gathering evidence to return. Others believed she was dead, and that Leslie had hidden the body in an unlikely place. Carlton became panicked, his mind beginning to crack between two realities. Every night he heard footsteps in the hallway, Eva's voice in his dreams, reproaches, hateful looks. He began drinking heavily, losing sleep, and gradually realized that Leslie no longer trusted him. She had hired people to follow him, set traps in their own house, ready to destroy him if necessary. The secret war between the two former allies became a slow self-destruction, as both became obsessed with power in fear of being exposed. Fairmont Crest became a place where no one dared to tell the truth. Whispers spread through every party, every cup of wine, every glance behind the glass. It was rumored that Leslie had bribed the police, that Carlton was crazy, that Eva was still alive and ready to return to expose all her sins. Each rumor was like a knife, cutting into the fragile moral shell of the upper class. No one dared to face it. Everyone was afraid that they would be the next to be caught in the vortex. In a panic, Leslie began to lose control of herself. She locked herself in the old file room, reading and rereading the contracts, as if trying to find meaning in all that she had done. But the more she read, the more she realized that all she was left with was ashes, broken relationships, piled up lies, memories that could not be saved. She had thought that power could replace everything, but now she understood that the truth was the only thing she could not erase. What would Eva do if she were still alive? Would she forgive Carlton, who was both a traitor and the only person who ever wanted to save her? Would she have the courage to face Leslie, or would she choose a more brutal path of revenge, losing Leslie as she had lost herself? That question hangs like a knife, making each character tremble in the dim light of their conscience. None of them know that obsession is driving them all. Eva is obsessed with regaining her identity. Leslie is obsessed with maintaining power. Carlton is obsessed with unwashed guilt. And in that vortex, Fairmont Crest slowly sinks into chaos, where each person must face their own demons. The story is no longer about who wins or loses, but who can endure the truth longer before it consumes them. Will Eva really return to end the war, or will Leslie self-destruct before her opponent can do anything? And if justice does come, will it still have meaning in a world where right and wrong are redefined by fear? Fairmont Crest remains silent as if nothing has ever happened, but behind its white walls, the silent war continues. Not with guns, but with memories, words, and bloody decisions by those who once believed they could transcend all human boundaries. As night falls over Fairmont Crest, the lights across the estate still blaze, but their glow no longer brings any sense of safety. It is more like the final layer of makeup covering a wound that won't stop bleeding. Leslie stands by the window, looking out at the courtyard where luxury cars slip away after the charity gala. She tries to convince herself that everything remains under control, that Eva is only a passing nightmare, that Carlton would never dare betray her. Yet deep down she knows it has all slipped beyond her reach. The cold gaze reflected in the glass is no longer the woman who once held power in her hands, but someone slowly being devoured by the very schemes she created. Somewhere beyond the city, Eva steps out of a car, a long coat wrapping her as the wind tosses her untamed hair. She has survived. She has escaped, and now it is time to return. Every step carries a quiet fury, a rage tempered by pain and loss. In her hand is a thick dossier, evidence of years of deception, of secrets Leslie and Carlton thought they had buried. She knows that by coming back she will face not just two traitors, but an entire rotten system that protected them. Yet that no longer frightens her. She is not the fragile Eva she once was, but a woman forged by fire and risen from her own ash. In the last days of his obsession, Carlton drifts between two poles of conscience. He watches Leslie coolly plan a hollow celebration while he knows that beneath her smile lies the order to erase the very woman he once loved. The torment makes it hard to breathe and forces a choice: keep covering the lies and live in guilt, or betray Leslie to save the last edge of humanity within him. But whatever he chooses, each path leads to ruin, because those who live by falsehood are eventually consumed by it. Fairmont Crest, once a symbol of power, has become a monument to decline. The white walls still stand, but inside lies a web of ravaged souls. Truth is closing in like a storm no one can stop. Leslie may try to bribe, threaten, even destroy anything in her way, but she cannot change what is inevitable: evil will return. Not to reclaim the past, but to end it. And when that happens, the question will no longer be who is right or wrong, but who will survive once every secret is stripped away. Will Leslie realize the power she clutched was only an illusion built on fear? Will Carlton dare to atone by turning against the woman who made him a puppet? And will Eva, after everything, truly free herself from the darkness, or become part of the very demon she once despised? As the final gust of wind sweeps through Fairmont Crest's corridors, the place itself seems to await an ending or a beginning. Silence spreads, yet behind it beats the hearts of people stepping toward the border between justice and revenge, between love and destruction. Perhaps when those gates open again, none of them will be the same. Because beyond the gates, the refuge they once imagined has become a symbol of the price of deceit, a place with no easy escape, where each must finally face the monster they have nurtured all their lives.